So I have 5 o'clock, and with that, I will call tonight's June 7th Utility Service Board meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our previous meeting, which was May 24th. Are there any questions, comments, additions, changes? All right, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, please call the roll.
Kepler,
Yes?
Parmenter,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, minutes are approved. Thank you. Approval of the claims. First item, we have standard invoices in the amount of $2,378,836.33. Are there any questions on the invoices? Seeing none, is there, I'm sorry, Mr. Eman.
Yeah, just a question for James. Since I can see your face, I'll ask the question. On the PACE analytic services, just remind me, are those reimbursable through our pretreatment program?
Hold on, I'm reading them here.
They're
Yes,
the same.
all three of those are reimbursable. So the Circle, Prosco, the Baxter, and the Cook, yes, we'll send an invoice out to them afterwards, or we may have already sent it out to them.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions on invoices? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Eman,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes?
Burnham,
Yes.
Thank you. Parmenter,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is utility bills in the amount of $20,001.43. Are there any questions on utility bills? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina?
Roberts,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes. All right, thank you. Next item is wire transfers in the amount of $473,382.34. Are there any questions on wire transfers? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina?
Eman,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes. All right, wire transfers are approved. Next item is customer refunds in the amount of $1,228.97. Are there any questions on customer refunds? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve refunds?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina?
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
Burnham.
Yes.
All right, refunds are approved. Thank you. Next is the approval of the consent agenda. And for that, I will turn this over to James Hall.
Good evening, James Hall, Assistant Director of Environmental Programs. I'm pleased to present tonight's consent agenda totaling $21,962.27. It consists of 4 items. The first being Nalco water pretreatment solution for $3,000 per term. It's a semi-annual exchange and replacement of deionized water at both of the wastewater treatment plants. The second item is course and fire and security for $3,336.69. for installation of automated door locks and monthly monitoring services at the Utility Service Center. The third is Holler's Welding LLC for $4,800 for welding repairs on a rotary screened housing at Dillman Wastewater Treatment Plant. And then the last item is EQ Industrial Services for $10,825.58 for cleanup of a sodium hydroxide spill at the Monroe Water Treatment Plant. Is there any member who wishes to consider one or more of these items individually?
Amanda?
Thank you. I just had a question really about what was the spill at the wastewater treatment plant.
We have so we have in the chemical building, we have two, we have a large tank and then we have what we call a day tank. It's a smaller tank that gets fed by the larger tank. The flow control device or the notification that that day tank was full didn't work. And so it overspilled onto the floor. And so we had to have it cleaned up and then taken away.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem. Hearing none, if there's no opposition to these items, will be approved as recommended by staff. Hearing no opposition, the consent agenda is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Next item is request for approval of an agreement with Infrastructure Systems Incorporated for a first amendment to expand the scope of work for the Monroe Water Treatment Plant Residuals Pumping Improvement Project. And Dan Hudson, will you tell us more, please?
Yeah, this is Dan Hudson, and during our reconstruction of the residual tank at the Monroe Water Plant, we found that the electrical system that feeds the lagoons, pumps, and controls was a substandard, not to code, and frankly dangerous. So this is an addendum to correct that situation for $30,000, $30,050, with a not to exceed for the full agreement of $555,327. Any questions? We'd be glad to entertain.
Okay, I'm not seeing any questions from the board. So with that, is there a motion to approve this agreement?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, please call the roll.
Parmenter,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Heeman,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item. Thanks so much, Dan. Next item is the request for approval of an agreement with Harold Fish Incorporated. This is a first amendment to extend the work completion date. And Don Gramlich is going to talk with us.
Good evening, I'm Don Grumlich, Superintendent of Monroe Water Plant. I was contacted by Harold Fish. They weren't able to complete the project of a chemical feed skid by the 31st of May. So they asked for a 3-week extension. It was due to their suppliers not being able to get the parts to them in time for them to meet the first completion date.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Don? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Roberts,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Heeman.
Yes.
All right, thank you. That motion is approved. Next item is a request for approval of the memorandum of understanding with the City of Bloomington Engineering Department. This is the first amendment to the bike lane improvements green infrastructure. And I will turn this over to Phil Peden.
Thank you. Yes, Phil Beaton with the engineering department. This one's a pretty simple one. We're not adding any money to this. We're just reallocating it. So we're taking what was, we had separated out into some engineering fee, and we're just putting that all in construction. This was a request that came from City of Bloomington Engineering Department, and I think the way their funding works, they were able to provide the funding better for the engineering services versus construction, and so they just asked us to reallocate hours. We're not exceeding our max any more than our not to exceed amount, so we're not changing that. Just reallocating it all towards construction. So be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve this amendment?
So moved.
Second,
And Latrina, please call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Beeman,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham,
yes.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, motion is approved. Thank you. Next, we have a request for approval of an agreement with GRIP Incorporated for the monthly maintenance services of flow meter sites. Phil Peden again.
Thank you again, Phil Peden, Engineering Department. Yes, this contract is with GRIP Incorporated. It's a continuation of previous contracts with them where they do the maintenance and service on our flow meters and monitors. Previous contract had rain gauges. We did away with those. We weren't really monitoring that data and using it, so we switched and added additional flow meters. So we now have 11 in our system, which are critical to analyzing and doing our engineering designs for capacity studies throughout the system. And so this contract keeps those going, provides the data. We get monthly reports as well as access to a website where we can see up to the minute data on each flow meter as well. So be happy to answer any questions and would ask for approval.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve this agreement?
So moved.
Second,
And Latrina?
Kapler,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Beeman,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion is approved. Thank you. Now we have a request for approval of an agreement with Rumpke Incorporated for hazardous waste disposal for the Hidden River Stormwater Project. And I'll turn this over to James Hall.
Hi, James Hall, AD of Environmental Programs. Yes, we're presenting a contract with Rumpke for $109,000, $931.25 for the disposal of hazardous waste from our Hidden River stormwater project between Smith and 3rd Street on Lincoln Avenue. We had in a previous board meeting approved VET for engineering services to kind of help us delineate that area. We've completed that, and we've gotten items approval to do a contained in process, basically where this soil is at such a low level of hazardous waste, but it is a listed hazardous waste that we can dispose of it at an approved landfill facility. And so that's where Rumpke comes into play. The contract amount, I will say this, is for $109,000. That was based on 2,500 cubic yards of material. We got approval today from the delineation that VET did to only have to dispose of 600 and some odd cubic yards, which comes out to 900 and something tons. So it should only be about $25,000 contract, all said and done, for all the material that we're going to have to dispose of. The original, when we started doing this process, was originally to get rid of everything from 3rd to Smith, but now we've been able to kind of shorten that down. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Okay, Mr. White and then Mr. Sherman.
Yeah, my question is, I think if I remember right, this is from the former dry cleaners there at 3rd and Lincoln.
Yes, sir.
And so it would seem, well, you got to help me because, you know, you'd think the former, the polluters would be responsible instead of us. But I don't know, has it migrated to other places or what's going on?
Yeah, so they're still in the process of trying to figure out where the migration has totally, where it stops and where it hasn't went to. And that was part of our previous contract with VET, is they're helping us determine the extent of the contamination in the right of way to us. And this was my conversation that I had with IDEM as well, is like, how are we responsible? It's not our waste. They consider it's just kind of in place, but since we're trying to remove it, then we're going to be responsible for disposal of it. This doesn't mean that we can't, and I don't know if Chris is on the call or not, we couldn't go back and try to get compensation back from the property owner of it, where the contamination came from. But if we want to move forward with our project, we're going to be responsible for footing the bill and paying for the removal of the material.
Okay.
Jean, you're muted.
Chris Wheeler, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of echo James's comments to Mr. White, that we are definitely looking into this to determine the migration pattern and determine whether we have any remedy. And if we do have remedy, whether we're going to pursue it. Vic wants us to take a look at it, and so we definitely are, and we'll be reporting back to let the board know what we find out.
Well, my thought is, you know, even if it migrates into this, to the area where we're doing excavation, which is probably Lincoln, be my guess, under the street, that's you know, that's public right of way, but nonetheless, it's, you know, we ought to try to recoup what we can for the ratepayer, because we weren't responsible for the problem, but we've still got to solve the storm drainage problem.
Correct, and that's why we're looking into it, to determine what remedy we would have here and how to go about pursuing it.
Thanks.
And
good.
And Jim Sherman, and then Amanda.
Yes, so James, if we pass this resolution, it's for the $100,000 amount, and yet that's not going to be the real amount. Should we not be passing a resolution that has the correct amount?
Yeah, you get
Chris,
them.
you're muted.
yeah, I thought I touched it. I didn't, apparently. Thank you. So, Mr. Sherman, that's a good question, but it is a not to exceed amount, and the amount is derived based upon a calculation of the amount of dirt that's going to be removed. The exhibit that is attached as Exhibit A has the additional language that discusses the calculation. And when we do all of these contracts, they all have the language that says not to exceed. This contract was put together very quickly. We're only just now being able to share the contract with the board because we had to do a lot of writing. Well, because it all came up last week and we're just trying to get it to the board now. But that doesn't change the fact that the calculation is based upon how much dirt they're going to move. And since they're only going to be moving a much smaller amount, they will only get paid based upon the amount that they get, that they actually haul. Just because we can spend 109 doesn't mean we're going to.
In the contract, it says a per ton, we have a per ton rate as well. So it's not a flat fee, it's a per ton fee.
Okay, that'll handle it. Thank you.
Okay, and then Amanda Burnham.
You're
Oh, you
muted.
just muted.
Thanks, Jean. Sorry, I thought I had hit it too. So if this is from the 3rd and Lincoln, residual from the dry cleaners that was there, this is hitting, you're saying that this is between 3rd and Smith. So is it 3rd, because Smith is just
South.
south. So is it 3rd Lincoln and south, or sorry, 3rd Lincoln and Smith?
The boundary that we have found doesn't include Smith. We were doing delineation because we were doing a lot of excavation work on Lincoln Street. And so we use the north-south boundary of Smith and 3rd Street.
I gotcha.
And there's an alley that runs between the boys club and that former property.
Yes.
And that's why we've been able to delineate anything south of that kind of alley. We're not too concerned about, and it won't fall within this contract now. We didn't know that at the time when we were writing this contract. But we are going to have to do delineation north of 3rd Street on Lincoln to 4th Street to kind of look at that, because we did find some stuff up on 3rd Street on the corner there. And so we're worried about it migrating north now. So.
And that actually is part of my question is, I mean, if you're going in a fairly north-south direction, is there a chance that it's going east-west as well? And if so, do we have to test that?
No, because we're just worried about the stuff that we're taking out of the ground. I mean, if someone was concerned about, property to the east or west of the public right of way, they could, but since they're not removing that material, there's no concern from that. And we did do some testing on the west side of Lincoln, of the street there, kind of next to the park, and those samples came back clean. So that's kind of why we're not too worried about those.
And then does this mean that there will be delays in the construction project of the apartment building that's there, and delays in the storm sewer project that's happening, that's going behind Lincoln and, like you said, behind the Boys and Girls Club down to Washington Street?
I don't know about the apartment complex that's there on the kind of the east of Lincoln. But that's something we're still negotiating and talking about with Milestone, and trying to figure out the logistics of how we have to go about doing this project. It's going to require a lot of logistical configuration. So we're still working on that. So we're not sure yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and Mr. Eman.
Where's the closest approved landfill right now?
Medora and Republic are about equal. Republic's in Terre Haute, or outside of Terre Haute, but somewhere up there.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve this agreement with Rumpke?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sherman,
yes,
Burnham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kavler.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that is approved. Next item, request for approval of the 2021 residential stormwater grant recipients, and James Hall again.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to bring the grant approval to you. The committee worked very diligently over the course, I think, of 3 or 4 meetings. Megan can confirm that number. But we had 33 applications that affected 70. Oh, I thought you were waving at me, Mr. Eman. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got distracted by somebody.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We had 33 applications affecting 76 parcels. So this year we had a good combination of, in years past, that probably would have led to 76 applications. This year we've got a lot of residents kind of grouping together and kind of joining together for a total of $314,920 or $314,927. We selected 12 projects totaling $70,006.22. And it looks like most of them have 100% funding. The lowest funded amount is, I think, 75% of that. And there's the list of all 12 of them there. And you can see that. And if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to take those.
Okay, any questions or comments? Jeff.
I just wanted to thank Megan for her service on that committee. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes,
I just wanted to thank James and Phil and Christy and team. It was such a pleasure to be on the committee. I feel like I learned so much. I appreciate all of the residents applying. I think that we've got great projects that are going to make a big impact for many residents. And I hope to be able to serve on this committee again in the future. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Megan. Any other questions or comments? I will just say I was really pleased to see the projects that are being funded and the inclusion of some projects in areas that are economically not as affluent. It seems like from the number of applications for projects for funding and, the total of funding that, if we could have funded every project, it was quite a bit more than we actually did. My hope is that in the future, we'll be able to, fund these sorts of projects at an even higher level. So thanks so much to the folks that worked on this and to everyone who applied. So, all right. So I guess at this point, I'll ask if there is a motion to approve the stormwater grant recipient list.
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina?
Seaman,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Motion is approved. Now, before we go on in the agenda here, I just want to remind the public that may be watching either in the Zoom meeting or on Facebook Live that at the end of the meeting, we'll have time for petitions and communications from the public. And so to do that, just put your comments in the comments on the live Facebook live stream or in the Zoom chat, and then Nolan will read those aloud for us. All right. So is there any old business from the board? Any old business from staff? All right. Any new business from the board? Any new business from staff?
No.
All right. And I don't believe that we have any subcommittee reports tonight. So I will now turn it over to James Hall for staff reports.
Thank you. I've just got a few things. We have 3 new employees. The first one is Heather Perry. She is an intern down at Monroe, helping us do algae identification. The second is Joseph Griffin. He is a seasonal laborer in T&D. And Barry Moore was down as an operator at the Dillman wastewater treatment plant, has moved back up as a laborer to T&D. And then Vic also wanted me to pass along that the data request for the rate case is going well. We had a visit from the Office of Utilities Consumer Counselor. They toured the water plant and the booster stations that are on the CIP, and that meeting went very well. And then the other thing we were going to mention was the Hidden River, but we kind of talked a lot about that with the Rumpke contract. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Julie.
Yeah, James, can you remind any viewers what CIP means?
Capital improvements projects.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for James? Okay. Then that brings us to petitions and communications from the public. And Nolan, are there any comments?
There are no comments on Facebook or Zoom.
Okay. Well, then we come to the end of the meeting. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine, thanks everybody.